Hello and welcome to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast number 69. Firstly, can I thank those of you who sent good wishes for my time with my parents who came to visit last week. We really did have a fantastic time, as we always do, and I'm already looking forward to seeing them again in September when they're back. But on with today's show. This week, after a little news and feedback, we're looking at a Doctor Who alien that, as far as I know, is specific to the Big Finish range of classic Doctor Who audio adventures, the Eminence.
Spoilers.
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 So why the spoiler sting before I've even said anything? Well, I'm sure it won't have escaped your notice that scripts for the first 5 episodes of Peter Capaldi's debut season as the Doctor have been leaked and are all over the internet. In more recent days, it's come to light that at least the first 2 episodes are also available on some streaming websites. Now, I know there are those of you out there who won't be able to wait to get their hands on those scripts and watch the rough cuts of the episodes available, but for me that level of spoiler just isn't on. Oh, I love getting a few bits and pieces from some of the photos of filming that go up, and I don't even mind finding out who the bad guys are. But to learn the whole plotline before I've even seen 1 second of the show? No way! Why would I want to spoil the excitement of seeing the show broadcast as it's intended? Why would I want to cheapen my experience by watching the rough cut version, which I understand only has the Matt Smith version of the theme tune on it? It's in black and white, and it's missing some of the final edit's special effects. So for me, no spoilers as far as the leaked scripts and episodes are concerned. I for one am looking forward to seeing the great Peter Capaldi in all his doctorish glory as the BBC intend me to see him, on broadcast, on BBC One, possibly at 8 PM, on the 23rd of August. I mean, come on! It's only just over a month away, people. Surely we can wait until then. Can't we?
Come here, you scrumptious little beauty. A box?
Doctor, what is it?
I've got mail.
This week's feedback relating to last week's show comes from Art J. Fink. He said, "The Doctor's species isn't human. Moffat's being incredibly coy to claim that it's difficult to determine. Any halfway attentive fan would have tripped over a number of examples in either the classic series or the new series. He either needs to stop fan-baiting or stop complaining about the backlash. I was a little more sympathetic towards him being vilified until he put the boot into Matthew Waterhouse. This is just hyping the show to keep it trending, and it's obvious as we near the return of the show that he's running out of things he can say. He could have posed the same question as a trivia puzzle without the wording to sound as if the Doctor were human. Lots of people thought it was some hint at a coming retcon, which really wouldn't be out of form for Moffat's stories." Thanks for that, and I have to agree in principle. There are better ways for the BBC to keep Doctor Who in the forefront of people's minds than baiting the fans. Mr. Moffat, please take note. And now to the Eminence, which is a gaseous entity and psychic force that has encountered the Doctor on several occasions. The Eminence travelled across the universe in teleportation caskets. It can control the minds of any being it comes into contact with, as long as that being has inhaled the breath of forever, turning them into infinite warriors. The Doctor first fought the Eminence in his fourth incarnation on Delphos. The Eminence creates a ship called the Infinite, which it planned to use to end its war against the Earth Alliance. It breathed its breath of forever into the Doctor and left him in command of the ship. The Doctor, however, used his telepathy to trick the Eminence and destroyed the Infinite, as a result of which the Eminence subsequently lost its control over Delphos. The Eminence spent many years at war with humanity. The planet Calsos was on the front lines of that war, and it's here that the Sixth Doctor stops the Eminence from infecting Earth's seed banks, but leaving the Earth's colonies barren. 1,000 Eminence teleportation caskets travelled to the Nixis system with the intention of taking over humanity. Seeing that in a possible future the Eminence would end up as the only life force in the universe, the Time Lords send the Master to steal one of the caskets. The Master does, and takes it back to 1970s London, where he experiments on the Eminence. When the Eighth Doctor comes to investigate, he opens up a link to the Eminence in his mind and allows the Eminence to pilot the Master's TARDIS. However, the Master does manage to expel the Eminence back into the time vortex. The Daleks detected the presence of an Eminence fleet at the edge of the Nixis system, and they team up with the Eighth Doctor against the entity. But it's the Dalek Time Controller who uses a weapon they've built on Nixis 7 to destroy the Eminence fleet. Around 1,000 years later, the Eminence resided at the edge of the universe. The Orpheus travelled to the Eminence location and attempt to siphon its power in order to get home, but the Eminence begins to possess the crew of the ship.
Oh, goodbye, my dear chap. I must say I've had the time of my lives.
And that's all for this week. As always, my thanks for listening, and if you have any thoughts about the show, I'd love to hear from you, either on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook, or at respectthething@hotmail.com. That's respectthething@hotmail.com. Next week I'm starting a 4-part series looking at some of the most controversial questions ever raised in the name of Doctor Who. Starting with how do you define a Doctor Who companion, we'll then go on to look at the unit dating controversy, asking what is Doctor Who canon, and finishing with a look at whether or not the Doctor can ever become a woman. Now, I'm very aware that these are some of the most emotive issues within fandom, so I aim to tackle them as sensitively as I possibly can, but I can't do a proper job of it without your help. So, each week, starting just after I've posted this week's show, I'll be posting one of the above questions for your thoughts and feedback. Feel free to leave your thoughts on Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast on Facebook, or to email me at respectthething@hotmail.com. So let's get that ball rolling with next week's subject, how do you define a Doctor Who companion? And let me throw in something here to get you all thinking. This house believes that to be a Doctor Who companion, you have to have travelled in the TARDIS. Thank you for listening to Theta Sigma's Doctor Who podcast. Doctor Who and its associated shows are all copyright and property of the BBC, and no infringement is intended.